In this video, I want to show an example of a properly configured access control list following the AGDLP method, as well as a couple of access control lists that are not properly configured. The access control list on the screen is based on this assignment where we had certain global groups, so finance managers and sales managers, who are supposed to have a certain level of access, in this case modify. So those global groups are placed into the domain local group as members of this group. The name of this group indicating that it's a domain local group for the management data folder with modify permissions. And then we simply assign the modify permissions to that domain local group. In the future, if there are any additional global groups that we want to have modify access, all we have to do is add those global groups to the domain local group, and we don't have to reconfigure the access control list. So in this access control list, we have administrators, which is a domain local group, and they have full control. We have a domain local group with modify. We have a domain local group with write permission, and we have left system because it's used by the operating system. Just a note that when we assign write permission needs to include read and execute. So although it is technically possible to go into the access control list and only click on write, that doesn't provide functionality because a user can't write to what they can't see. So it's up to you to know that write needs to include read and execute, list folder contents, and read. And when we do that, it appears as read, write, and execute access. So this access control list is clean and simple. It's easy to see the groups that have a certain level of access. And if we want to give additional groups the same levels of access, all we have to do is add those groups, add those global groups to these domain local groups. A couple of examples of how this can go wrong. In this screen capture, the domain local groups have been added as desired, but some of the default objects that were there in the initial access control list were left. So in this case, instead of restricting access to just the desired groups, we have all domain users with read and execute plus special access plus creator owner has been left. So the only special entity that you should leave, unless you're making a conscious choice to leave something, is the system entity. If creator owner is there, you need to decide if you intentionally mean to leave creator owner. This is another example of having an incorrectly configured access control list. And in this case, everything has been added from domain local groups, global groups, special entities. In this example, we have both domain admins and administrators, which is redundant because administrators contains domain admins already. And this is an example of what it looks like if you have assigned the write permission without read and execute. So it's easy to see how the access control list can easily get long and have lots of entries, and this just increases our chance of having entities in there that we shouldn't have, or of having errors. So our end result, if we do it right, by simply using the appropriate domain local groups, will look something like this. And a fundamental underlying principle of this, at least according to Microsoft and in the planning of this method, is that it's easier to manage group memberships than it is to understand and properly manage the access control list. So we want to keep this simple and then just add groups and configure the group nesting as needed when more users need access.